All right, my apologies for the break. Um, so, the effects of watershed runoff on salmon populations in the Pacific Northwest. So it's a science-related topic, so it makes sense about a science paper, but it has nothing to do with this class. So you can't just copy my ideas and make it your own with changing a few words. But there's a solid title. The only thing I would ask you not to do, as I did here, is underlining. Don't underline titles. So then there is an introduction, followed by three, I think, subsections on my story: water quality, the effects on salmon populations, remediation, and then the conclusion. So I've got introduction and conclusions and a three-part story in between. That's it, 3 parts. Yours might need 4. If you have more than 5, I would question it. Talk to me. Why do you have so many for such a short paper? And so what am I going to say? I'm going to introduce the topic, obviously. And so I'm going to talk about salmon populations. I'm going to talk about why salmon populations are very sensitive to environmental stresses and the introduction of human impacts on the watershed areas where salmon spawn. So I'm going to introduce the concepts. Then I'm going to introduce my main topics. What are the issues of water quality that affect these salmon populations? And there are several things: temperature, particulates, toxins, debris, and dams. All of those things impact water quality issues with salmon. And then what are those effects? What does it do to the salmon population? I might talk a little bit about the effects up here, but mostly I want to summarize, after I introduce these are the problems, what's happening because of these problems in the salmon population. And then finally, remediation. What are we going to do about it? What are we going to do to fix it? Remediation is doing something to correct a problem or to fix a problem, fix a deficiency. So, what are the water quality problems? What effects do those water quality problems have on the salmon? And how are we working to fix those problems, or what can we do to fix those problems? That's my story. Again, I just made it up. These are real papers, but they have nothing to do with salmon. I just took some papers that I had and I changed the titles to make them something about salmon. But you'll notice that in all of these, I have CSE style in-text citation. So I know where this came from. I know which paper to look at. All right? That's important. I want your outline to be loaded with in-text citations. Now, not everything has an in-text citation, like the word toxins. That's just a category. But the idea of toxins came from multiple papers. So since it's just a category, I'm not going to list all of my citations. The one that talked about forest fires in my imaginary articles was Meese et al., etc. You should be scattered with almost every single line having a citation. And that's the story. That's the outline. That's the meat of this assignment. Now, I don't have a sample abstract here, but an abstract, I describe it in detail in the assignment itself. It's just part of the title page. And here I've got a bibliography. If you use MLA, it will be called Works Cited. Again, I did this years ago, and I was still using the concept of let's teach students how to underline things. I don't like underlying titles, so and it's not correct to use underlining for MLA or CSE style, actually. This was just some instructions to make sure students are using the tools. Don't do it. Just put works cited or references or bibliography, whatever is appropriate for the style of citations you're using. Now notice these are hanging indents. If you don't know how to use hanging indents, look it up, Google it. Send me a text, say, Triano, how do I do this? Pretty simple. And then I've got a few notes that can be helpful. Please read through these notes. But other than the abstract, which I didn't specifically put a title page and abstract, the title page would look exactly like this with the name ABT 96 and the date in the upper right-hand corner, a title, and then it would just be a paragraph or two summarizing, as I described earlier, summarizing your paper. And then Control Enter to go to the top of the next page, and this is page 2. And Control Enter, and this is the top of page 3. Now you'll notice if I turn on the hidden characters, there's the page break that I have. Now, if you do page break and it starts the next page with the next number in your outline list, just hit the backspace key once or turn off the numbered list. That normally takes care of it. The other possibility is before you even start, hit enter a couple of times so you've got a spare paragraph at the bottom. So whenever you're at the bottom of the page, you have a non-outlined, non-numbered list paragraph. It's always at the end. Anyway, that is it for the abstract and outline assignment. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, seek help from the Panther Learning Lab.